But we need to realize there is a reality to energy demand. In the next, to 2025, when these mandates are supposed to be met, we're looking at about a 30% population increase. That's because Oregonians are being born every day, and folks like me, don't hold it against me, are moving up from California as well. So the population is going up, and with that becomes higher demand on energy that needs to be met with new energy supply sources. So in the next few years, we're looking at adding a significant amount of energy supply to the electricity grid in Oregon. 2,189 megawatts. It's a lot of power going to be added in the next few years. Now, because of these mandates, regulations, outright bans on electricity in the state, we're looking at about 77% of the new energy being built is going to be wind turbines, wind farms, scattered and dotted across eastern Oregon. Now, the remainder is mostly made up of natural gas, higher priced natural gas because of our carbon tax in the state. So, I talk about this, and I really like to play the emotional aspect, mainly for legislators, but for all people. We're all somewhat emotionally driven. We need to understand that there is a significant problem going on with Oregon ratepayers right now. 1 in 4 Oregonians is past due on their electricity account. 1 in 20 had their electricity shut off in 2008 due to inability to pay. Now, the amount on the low-income assistance program that you'll see on your bill has gone through the roof in the past few years. Now, some of this is due ultimately to the recession and people losing their jobs. Ultimately, some of it's also due to increasing electricity prices as well. Pacific Power, you guys Pacific Power or PGE down there? Pacific Power. You guys saw an increase January 1st, 14.5% or so. PGE saw a smaller increase, it was 4.2%. But don't think that we got off easy up in Portland, because about a year before that they added a renewable resource cost adjustment onto our bill. That tax an additional fee, monthly have run rampant, that they have regulated, banned, taxed things out of existence in this state, and it's already creating problems, but it's going to create even more significant problems in the future. So we've hired a couple of economists out of Beacon Hill Institute, which is part of Suffolk University out of Massachusetts, and we hired them to do an economic analysis on what this was going to cost the state in 2025. This is still the depressing part, but we'll get to the positive part soon. Now, I love this slide. Don't look at it too much, because it reminds me, remember the Obamacare diagram? Remember that, when I had all those things going on? But really what this is showing is that it's a dynamic model. So everything that's involved in the economy, prices, supply of goods, everything's in equilibrium, and it assesses all the changes in these. So when I talk about job loss later, I'm also taking into account the job gains in the renewable energy industry. Okay? So if someone says that, oh no, it's okay, the green energy future is going to lead to more and more jobs, I'll talk more about that later. So electricity cost increases. Mainly the main effects and impacts of these policies are going to hit us around 2015, a few years out. We're already seeing some of the impacts, but it's really going to hit us in 2015. And what we're going to see is an average Oregon household between the time of 2015 to 2025 is going to pay an additional, above and beyond, $1,700 in higher electricity costs. Now, Oregon businesses, it's going to be more because they have higher energy use. We're looking at about $9,600 more during that time period. And industry, which is a very high energy user, is going to be paying about $80,000 more during that time period.
Who is, did you say, businesses?
Businesses, commercial businesses, retail, the works. Now, between 2015 to 2025, the overall cost to the economy in Oregon is going to be about $6.8 billion more than over conventional power. Now, there's a range, $4 billion up to about $9.3 billion it's going to cost our economy. Now, annual investment in the state, people investing in businesses and homes, real estate, the works, is going to fall by about $145 million. That's in 1 year alone, 2025, with a range up to $204 million. Personal disposable income, you know, that thing that you have cash left in your pockets after taxes, which is decreasing. There's not much of it, I know. That's going to fall by about $170 million as well. So, now breaking it down on a household level, by 2025, because of these mandates, you're going to be paying about $250 more per year for your electricity than you do today. Now, job losses. Now, I like to talk about this one because when I do, a couple Democrats said, well, we're going to get a lot of jobs in the green energy industry. You know, these green jobs, the green economy that's coming. First, I always, as an economist, and maybe this is kind of a nerdy thing, I always get a kind of a chuckle out of that statement. It seems odd to me that we'd be promoting a higher amount of labor inputs to produce something. Now, I know that sounds odd, but think about it this way. You own a McDonald's, and you brag, let's say you take on Obama's new policy, you brag that it takes 25 people to make a hamburger at your McDonald's versus any other place. I employ much more people to make a hamburger than any other McDonald's, and that's a good thing for the economy. Well, that's technically what we're saying. So when people say that green energy is going to create a bunch of jobs, I said maybe if we pay people to turn the wind turbines when the wind stops blowing. Okay, but either way, by 2025, the Oregon economy is expected to lose an average of about 17,500 jobs. Now that's all the way up to about 25,000 jobs as well. Now that's mainly due because higher energy costs hit businesses, hit industry, which means they either go out of business, cut production, or choose not to locate here to begin with. Now, after I go through all of that, I got a question. They said, well, Todd, wind energy is free. I mean, it's got to be, like, you know, the wind's blowing, we don't pay for that, but we do pay for the coal that gets, you know, shoveled into the coal plant. And I said, well, okay, let's say you completely didn't listen to any of the other slides that I showed you. We do have 2 case studies. They happen to be really funny because it's a case study of government failure, which I always get a kick out of. In the city of Portland, under the great leadership of Mayor Vera Katz, 2001, there was a climate action plan proposed, and part of that climate action plan was that all city agencies and office would rely on 100% renewable energy by 2010. Oh, it sounded fantastic. All the Portlanders in their green shirts sung some sort of green kumbaya song, and they passed it. Well, 2010 has come and gone, and I decided maybe I should look into where they went on those goals. Well, they're about 9% as of 2010. Now, even funnier, the state of Oregon, under the great leadership of Governor Kulongoski, in 2005, he said, "Oh, that's a really great idea. That mayor in Portland had a really great idea. Let's do the same. Let's impose a renewable energy goal on all state agencies and offices." So he said in 2005, he said, okay, it's going to be 25% renewable energy by 2010. 25%, it was a little bit more realistic, I suppose. Well, 2 years later, I guess he didn't create enough of a green legacy. People weren't clamoring over it, so he increased it to 100% renewable energy by 2010. Oh. Now, 2010 has come and gone, and we are at 1 to 2%. Okay. Now, some people say, oh, well, maybe they just didn't have enough time to get this done. Well, I happened to talk with a Portland city official and the governor's communications director to see exactly what happened, why we failed on these goals. Well, the Portland city official said the goals were unattainable. I like this political answer. To balance desire for clean energy and fiscal responsibility. Now, first of all, I was very surprised that fiscal and responsibility were right next to each other coming out of a Portland city official. But I guess he understood that it was unrealistic and it was too expensive. And Oregon, the communications director said, economic challenges played a large role in not meeting this goal, meaning it was too expensive and it was unrealistic. In fact, she chuckled with me for a little while about how it was completely unrealistic, but the governor had to do something to make some sort of effort to appease the masses in Portland, apparently. Now, I show the picture here, Governor Kulongoski standing there. He's like, oh, what? I didn't mean to fail. And he's standing in front of a solar panel. That was part of the Oregon Department of Transportation Solar Highway Project. If you ever drive up I-5 and you see